Hey everybody, it is Robert People here. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy 2020. This is Robert People again of robertpeople.com, and you're listening to People's Court. Thanks for tuning in on this first day of the new year. First day of the new year. One thing a lot of people have, I decided to come on a little bit later today. Normally my broadcasts are live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, but I think a few of us are going to need a few of you all needed a little bit of extra time to get around today, and that's okay. That's all right. It's all good. As long as you do it safely, no problem. Okay. One thing a lot of people mentioned today, a lot of folks, not today necessarily, but for the new year, resolution would be to get rid of toxic people, right? To get toxic people out of your life, to rid yourself of those toxic individuals. Now, I was surprised to see or to find out that some people don't agree with that. Some people actually some people believe that to have the mindset of getting rid of toxic individuals, that makes you narcissistic. Now, let's clear something up first of all, for those who don't understand, because everyone does not understand this. Everyone does not have this concept down yet. A toxic person, okay, toxic individual, okay, the general definition, or I should say maybe the generally accepted definition of this, is simply like this, and I'll break it down in layman's terms for you. A person who gets on your nerves once in a while is not a toxic person. Now, my wife and I get on each other's nerves sometimes. That doesn't make us toxic to the other person. That just happens. Best friends get on each other's nerves once in a while. That's not toxic. Someone who hurt your feelings some time ago, that's not toxic. Someone who did something to you whenever they did, one time, two times, that's not toxic. Okay? You get the idea. A toxic individual, and again, the generally accepted term, is that a toxic person is someone who sucks the life out of you. Sucks the life out of you, drains your energy on a consistent basis, to the extent that you feel stressed and simply an extreme amount of stress in simply dealing with that person. Not you're worried about the stress of an argument that might ensue because you said something the wrong way or because one person thinks this or whatever the case. I'm talking about the mere thought of having to deal and associate with that person just does something to your body, to your mind, does something to you emotionally. Okay, you get that. That's what a toxic person is, and a toxic person does. Now that we understand that, I posted this on Facebook a little bit ago, and I posted the title, just as you see it. Getting rid of toxic people makes you a narcissist? Someone rushed and put the laughing emoji next to it. I don't know if it's because they rushed to assume that I was saying that. But obviously I'm not, because that's why I put a question mark there. So I'm posing this question to you. Do you believe that a person is a narcissist or it exhibits narcissistic behavior or has the traits of a narcissist because they choose to rid themselves of those who they feel are toxic? Saw this on Facebook, yes. When was it? Yesterday or the day before? Whenever it was. And someone posted that. Someone said that this is an overused, to the effect, someone said this is an overused term that basically speaks to people being narcissists. If you dealt with abuse from this person, okay, and I'm paraphrasing, but if you dealt with abuse from this person, you set boundaries. And that's really it. Essentially, what I gathered from this was that we're supposed to just distance ourselves, but keep those who are toxic around. And the problem is people already do that. There are a lot of people who just suck the life out of us before anyone opens their mouths to say anything. And this person believes that we are wrong for wanting to get rid of people like that. So what is the answer then? And to be clear, I don't agree with it at all. But what's your answer? What's the answer? If it is wrong to get rid of toxic people, since this term is such a horrible thing, since this is such a horrible thing to say, what is the alternative? Boundaries. What does boundaries do? We wouldn't bother calling the person toxic if boundaries were followed, right? If that person followed boundaries, that person wouldn't be toxic. If I told someone to stop doing something and they stopped it, would I consider that person to be toxic? No, because they listened to exactly to what I said. Toxic is that person who doesn't respect boundaries. Toxic is that person who continues to suck the life out of you and make you feel as though you are wrong for taking it that way. That's what a toxic person does. Now, I have a few theories as to why this person, and maybe a few others, because if one person is saying it, chances are others are saying it as well. Others believe it. If this person said it, others believe it as well. I have a few theories as to why this comes out. One, the person has been so fortunate and or privileged, you take that however you want, but so fortunate and or privileged that they've never had to deal with a toxic person. They've never had to deal with anybody who has sucked the life out of them. Again, to repeat what I just said, not someone who gets on your nerves once in a while, somebody who irritates you when they say this or when they do that. I'm talking about sucking the life out of you. And just about everybody listening to this, you understand what that means. There's no way you don't get that, because we've all, or most of us, have dealt with people like that. Again, nothing has to be said. Just the thought of that person, you feel something just drain out of you just thinking about that individual. So that's one theory, that this person has never had to deal with that. Number two, this person is toxic themselves. I mean, let's just be frank. There are people out there who will call out behaviors or say that you're wrong to view them as this way because they know that's exactly the way they are. Or they've been told this over and over again. Okay, I say that again. Some people may believe that you are a narcissist for getting rid of toxic people because they are the toxic people that others have tried to get rid of. You know what it is. I'm going to say you're wrong for wanting to do something because I know I'm exactly the reason you're doing it. And we don't want to sit there and acknowledge that. So that's another theory. And of course, friends came on to agree and say all this and that. But to not even understand what a toxic individual is about, to not understand that to the extent that you call the person who chooses to separate themselves from them, you call them narcissistic. You say they're the ones who are wrong. You say this is an overused term. I say it's an underused term. It's underused because a lot of people don't know how to identify this. How many of you have family members who are that way? That means toxic. That's toxic. Family members who, when you just think about them, and I know so many people who fall into this category, but you simply think about them, and you're like, oh, hell. Oh, my good. Do I have to call them? Oh, they call you on the phone. Oh, my Lord. And it's not just, I don't feel like talking to them right now, or I'm busy, or, well, they stay on the phone a little too long. So that's not toxic. This is a draining. I say that again. This is not just being irritated once or twice. Okay, that is a little something if you cut everybody out of your life, whoever makes a single mistake. Yeah, there's a little something there. Narcissistic, yeah, I could dig that if that's what you do. Every time someone makes a mistake, all right, I'm cutting everybody out. Yeah, there might be something. But I'm talking about that draining feeling. It's very different. And so many people have this need to just keep folks like that around. I don't know if it's to prove a point, to make them feel a certain type of way as they progress through life, if they're looking for success or whatever the case. Like if you're one of those people who has goals and ambitions, and those toxic individuals, let me give you another example of what a toxic person would do. You have these goals, you have these ambitions. A toxic person a person is not toxic if they simply encourage you to work harder. If they give you constructive criticism, that is not toxic. A toxic person has nothing but negative to say. Nothing but negative. Nothing but negativity comes out of this person's mouth. They don't encourage you to work harder. They don't encourage you to follow your dreams. They don't encourage you to do what you need to do to make these goals, make these ambitions happen. They don't encourage that. Okay? And understand, they don't have to agree with what you're doing. If you're not out there doing anything illegal, they don't have to agree with it. And too often, we do that. We throw our opinions out there because we think we feel like we just don't believe somebody should do something. If it's not illegal or immoral in any type of way, guess what? It's not up to them. But I'm talking about, again, a serious draining of your energy. That's what a toxic person does. They find every way to minimize your accomplishments. They tell you that, they don't tell you you're worthless, but you pretty much get that feeling from the things they say to you. Okay? Understand exactly what that means. Now, I don't understand, and I've tried to understand this. When someone says something that doesn't make sense to me, I try my best to understand because I'm not always right. I'm not always right. There may be something that I'm missing. My wife tells me this, all the time. Sometimes, when we are dealing with something, we are inside the picture. Sometimes it's good to get an outside perspective because the outside perspective, when we're inside the picture, we only see what's immediately around us. However, a third party or someone outside the picture can see the entire picture. So they may be able to catch things that you don't catch. So when it comes to this, I say, well, let me see if I may be missing something. And I can't get it. I simply don't understand. I don't get that concept of how it makes a person a narcissist to get rid of toxic people. And again, the tone of this post that I saw from my friend was not about someone just constantly talking about slashing everybody from their lives because of little mistakes or one time this or that. It's the general concept of getting rid of toxic people. That's what this person had a problem with. And the friends came on and agreed with. I'm here to tell you, to wrap this up, I'm here to tell you, if you feel as though there are toxic individuals or people in your life who do this to you, who drain your energy, who add an element of stress to your life simply by mentioning their name or simply by thinking about them, you do not, I repeat, do not have to deal with that. You do not have to keep those people in your life. You can separate yourself from them at any time. Never feel obligated. You don't have to be obligated to anyone but yourself. That's even if you have children. The reason I say that is because your children are not going to get anything from you if you don't take care of yourself. So you have to. So your obligation is to you first. Then you can be worth something to everyone around you. Okay, that doesn't mean put yourself first. It means obligated to yourself. You got to get yourself right before you can make anyone else right and help others. But you don't owe anybody an explanation for why you decide to rid yourself of toxic people. If there is no desire from them to change, to improve, to work on what they're doing. No sense of remorse for what they have done to you, what they are doing to you. No desire to change. You don't see any change in them. You are not a narcissist or anything of the sort because you choose to separate and distance yourself from people like that. I don't understand that concept. I don't get it. You owe it to yourself to say enough is enough. If boundaries were respected, people would not be toxic. Now, everything else deep that goes into, why you're saying someone is toxic, hey, that's up to you. But you know exactly what a toxic person is. Sometimes the toxic person might be you. At any rate, you don't have any obligation to keep people like that around. None. Doesn't matter what anybody says. But let me know what you think. Am I wrong? Is this person, this Facebook friend of mine, is she correct? Is there some narcissism involved in getting rid of toxic people? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in these comments. Again, this is Robert People. Happy New Year. Okay? Robert People of robertpeople.com. Have a great day and a great start to your new year. Thank you for listening.